In 2020, a company called Nikola was worth more than Ford Motor Company. A company that had never sold a single truck, never delivered a single vehicle to a single customer, never generated a single dollar of revenue from actual product sales, worth more than Ford. The man who made this happen was Trevor Milton. He had never built a car, he had never built a truck, he had no engineering degree, no manufacturing experience, no background in the automotive industry whatsoever. What he had was a vision, a story, and an extraordinary ability to make people believe that both were the same thing as a product. Stay with me, because the specific technique Trevor Milton used to convince Wall Street that a truck that could not move was worth more than the company that invented the modern automobile is one of the most audacious frauds in the history of American business. And the ending involves a Lamborghini, a cattle ranch in Utah, and a jury that took less than a day to convict him. Trevor Milton grew up in Utah. He was a salesman from an early age, the kind of person who could convince anyone of anything, and who had learned that the gap between what you promised and what you delivered was a problem you could solve later. He founded and sold several small companies before landing on the idea that would make him a billionaire on paper. The idea was a hydrogen-powered semi-truck, not electric, hydrogen, a truck that would produce zero emissions, drive hundreds of miles on a single tank, and be cheaper to operate than a conventional diesel truck. In an industry desperate for sustainable alternatives, the pitch was perfect. He founded Nikola in 2015, naming it after Nikola Tesla, the inventor who had been posthumously adopted as the patron saint of electric vehicle disruption. The name was deliberate. It positioned Nikola beside Tesla in the mind of anyone paying attention to the clean energy vehicle space. The investors came, the money came. By 2020, Nikola had raised hundreds of millions of dollars from investors who believed Milton's vision of a hydrogen-powered trucking revolution. General Motors announced a partnership that valued Nikola at $11 billion. The stock soared. Milton appeared on magazine covers. He gave interviews about changing the world. Then a short seller called Hindenburg Research published a report. Hindenburg had been investigating Nikola for months. What they found was extraordinary. The promotional video that Nikola had used to demonstrate its truck, the video that had been shown to investors and partners as proof that the technology worked, the video showing a Nikola truck driving powerfully down an open road, had been faked. The truck had been towed to the top of a hill and allowed to roll downward under gravity. There was no hydrogen fuel cell system generating power. There was no drivetrain. There was barely a truck. There was a shell rolling down a hill while a camera captured it from the most flattering possible angle. The video had been presented to investors as evidence of a working prototype. It was evidence of a rolling shell and a deceptive camera angle. The Hindenburg report also documented a pattern of fraudulent statements Milton had made about the company's technology, its partnerships, its orders, and its capabilities. Statements that had been made in interviews, on social media, in investor presentations. Statements that were factually false and that Milton had made knowingly. General Motors withdrew from the partnership within weeks. The stock collapsed. The Securities and Exchange Commission and the Department of Justice opened investigations. Milton resigned as executive chairman. In 2022, Trevor Milton was indicted on federal fraud charges. The trial lasted several weeks. The evidence included the rolling truck video, the false statements documented by Hindenburg, and testimony from investors who had made decisions based on Milton's representations. The jury convicted him on 3 counts of fraud in less than 4 hours of deliberation. 4 hours to decide the fate of a man who had built an $11 billion company. He was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison in December 2023. And the Lamborghini? During the period when Milton was raising hundreds of millions from investors with promises of revolutionary hydrogen technology, he was spending company money and his own paper wealth on a lifestyle that included a cattle ranch in Utah worth tens of millions of dollars, multiple luxury vehicles, including a Lamborghini, and a personal spending pattern that suggested someone who believed the money was already his. The investors who lost money included some of the largest institutional investors in America. General Motors lost the time and resources it had invested in the partnership. The trucking companies that had placed orders for Nikola trucks had to find alternative solutions. And the broader clean energy vehicle sector suffered reputational damage from a fraud that made every genuine innovator look slightly more suspicious. Trevor Milton convinced Wall Street that a truck rolling down a hill was a revolution. And for 2 years, Wall Street believed him. If you believe the public deserves to know where the money actually goes, subscribe. Every week we cover the frauds, the scandals, and the financial crimes the system wants you to forget.